Pragmatic effort is not made to see that at least they have a livelihood or be supported with an education, because education is the only thing that can make them to light the future, and that is how it should be done. But the approach is, though the state government here is doing it best, but the magnitude of the children in the streets is more than their capacity, because these children are war orphans. And you know what orphans comes along with. It comes with psychological trauma of unpleasant experiences which carries them to, if carried to adulthood, may have a significant effect on the society. So for them to play a role, we have to sit down and plan the future for them. We should have an implementation plan where the future will be certain for us to determine or to say that these children will be better in the society. And that is only if it could be done through giving them a sound education.
Whenever under soft targets, because most of them are not even documented, for them to get any humanitarian aid, so they are the most vulnerable soft targets who be recruited if they see the opportunity for being recruited. The government needs to document them and make provision for adoption or foster them in a proper home where they will be really catered for their emotional, their psychosocial, and their physical health should be looked into. More humane, we should more understanding towards people, towards children, and we should be ready to adopt and foster those orphans. Need to be a lot of sensitization and putting it into action. Sensitize, follow up, implement, evaluate it, monitor it. It cannot end just like that. That would be loose.
Morning of Monday, we finished praying our early morning prayers. Then we had gunshot. My father call all of us to his room. We were thinking it was soldiers. Then, but few minutes later, 3 people came into our house with guns and pushed us outside. Then they told my parents to stay and tell us to go inside. We are just about going inside. We had gunshot. When we turned up to see what happened, they had killed both of them. Then myself and my younger brother, my sister, we trekked from Bama to Kondga, that is 25 miles in one day. We saw people leaving the town in confusion. I want to be a medical doctor because I want to help the other people that they don't have, those that they are vulnerable, they don't have energy to do. If I go to their house, if I see their parents, I'm thinking their parent is my parent. That's why I'm very happy. If I see them.
Well, there you have it. It's a sad story, really. Some of the experiences of these people, that have been involved. And thankfully, we have philanthropists, people who are willing, to go out of their way. People who even do not have a reason to, to engage in that sense. But they, despite all the odds, decided that, look, I'm going to do this. And they're doing service to humanity. Wholeheartedly. And we pray that God will reward them. But let's get back to where we stopped earlier. You were talking about your visit to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
So maybe you take us through your experience,
yes,
at the time as far as de-radicalization.
Yes, I was trying to make a comparison of the de-radicalization process. Even there, they had die-hard criminals, die-hard terrorists, die-hard extremists. But they were able to turn around, to change many of them, because I visited the maximum prison where they keep the die-hard terrorists, the extremists, yes, who, of course, were willing to kill themselves and then to kill any other person that does not believe in what they think is right. But the de-radicalization process is very expensive, because you need to listen to them, and then you need to give them superior arguments. Gradually, you see them coming down, changing position, becoming more understandable. Then from there, you now move them to the medium, and then from there, you take them to the minimum custodial center, where they have access to all privileges of life. I'm telling you, when I went there, it is as good as 5-star hotel here, where they live, in terms of feeding, in terms of recreation, and all that. So these people, when they are fully reformed, they are in a better position to now de-radicalize others. You now redeploy them to the society, where they preach, where they talk to youth, where they talk to elders, where they talk to the disprivileged. And then you, at the end of the day, you see it. It's not that they have eliminated extremism, but you don't hear about it. So I am hoping that in Nigeria we should also have things like this, because as I speak with you, many of these extremists, they have been lumped up together with other criminals, armed robbers, and all that, and you don't have the right people who will now advance superior arguments, because you will listen to them first. They will tell you that, no, if you are not A, you can never be B, and whatever. So I hope that we get it right in the radicalization process, because as we are witnessing now, many of them are going back to square one. You de-radicalize them, you release them, and then before you know, they go back to the trenches, which is very bad. And as we have seen in the, the video we played a moment ago, people like Barrister Zanna, because he has passion for this. He has many graduates to his credit now. And he started his center, Future Prowess, even before the Boko Haram crisis. It predates the Boko Haram crisis. And in his school, when you go, you see the children of soldiers killed by the Boko Haram. You see the children of the Boko Haram assailants. You see the children of traditional rulers and all that. All of them are orphans. And he's taking care of them. He has changed their thinking. That tendency of vengeance is very low, because I remember those days when we interview the orphans, when you ask them, what do you want to become? You can see one said he wants to become a doctor. Before, he will tell you, I want to become a soldier. Why do you want to become a soldier? He said, I will go and kill soldiers. His colleagues. Why? Because they invaded our community, and then while fighting with the Boko Haram, they mistakenly killed my father, so I want to kill them. Or I want to become Boko Haram. There are many who say they want to become Boko Haram because of the atrocities committed. But it's no longer the same, because of the serious intervention of the right people who are gradually changing the mindset of the local population, that it cannot be a war of attrition. Right. We just have to find a final bus stop to the craziness of
all right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We have to end the discussion here. From the newspaper review, we dragged you into talking about your personal experience on the field. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Hamza Idris, the general editor, Daily Trust newspaper. We look forward to having you again on the program.
Inshallah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be talking some more about insecurity and vis-a-vis this conversation about war orphans. Today is International Day for War Orphans, and we have Dr. Yahuza Ahmed who will be joining us to talk about this. Please stay with us.
The board and management of Media Trust Limited invites the general public to its annual Daily Trust Dialogue, themed 2023, The Politics, Economy and Insecurity. Date, 20th January 2022. Location, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion, former Head of State General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. Guest Speaker, Governor of Kaduna State, Malan Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Guest Speaker, Governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi. Guest Speaker, former Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mrs. Ifueko Omoigui Okauru. Moderator, Executive Director, Daria Media Nigeria Limited, Kadariya Ahmed. The event will be transmitted live on Trust TV, and all participants must observe COVID-19 protocols and wear their face masks.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. Now, to give us, his perspective on the whole conversation about security in the country, we have security consultant Dr. Yahuza Ahmed here in the studio with us. Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
You're welcome. All right, now before we begin this conversation, let's take a look at, extracts from the president's interview from yesterday.
I think you can recall that when I was campaigning, right, 2015, there were three fundamental issues: security, economy, and fighting corruption. And for Nigerians to be fair to this administration is to try and find out, from the time we won the election in 2015 to now, in the three promises we made: improving security, improving the economy, and trying to fight corruption. Well, securing the country in the northeast, If you ask anybody from Borno State, from Yobe State, from Adamawa State, there were a number of local governments, about 18, that were in the hands of Boko Haram. None of any local government now is strictly in the hands of Boko Haram or ISWAP. So, in that respect, we have done something. In the economy, don't forget, and I challenge so many people to go and check with the central bank or NNPC, the production from 1999 to 2014 was 2.1 million barrels a day, average production, at the average cost of $100 American per barrel. When we came, somehow the militants were unleashed in the south. Production went down to 500,000 barrels a day. And I think, by some fabulous coincidence, the price again collapsed to about $37 per barrel. But look at what we did within the time frame and the resources available to us relative to the government we inherited from. In the Northwest, it's the same people, the same culture, stealing each other's animals, killing each other, burning villages. So I think the only language they understand, we discussed it thoroughly with the law enforcement agencies, the service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, is to go after, the terrorists. We label them terrorists, and we are going to deal with them with such. And I believe if you go to those constituencies in the Northwest and North Central, within the last 4 weeks, there are improvements in the security.
Well, there you have it, coming from the president's interview yesterday, where he actually said quite a number of things, and talking about the economy, talking about the fight against insecurity, the state of the nation, general state of the nation, in terms of the unity in the country, talking about national cohesion and all of that. But we would like to focus more on the issue of security, because that's where we have a major challenge. Everyone is talking. But as far as the president is concerned, the security of the nation is quite better than it was.
I think this is his own personal opinion, but not the larger opinion of the people and the practical reality on ground. The president says that Nigerians should genuinely appraise him. So when we want to appraise the president, I want to commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, to the fact that in terms of budgetary aspects, in terms of the resources imputed in terms of finances, yes, we commend him, because there has never been any president or any government since independence that ever budgeted and spent and also have a perfect procurement process in terms of documentation and reporting compared to what he does. That is commendable. But is there results? That's a big question. I'm asking President Muhammadu Buhari to ask himself.
The president said in the past 6 weeks, yes, there have been immense progress that has been made as far as the Northwest is concerned.
Well, I will expose certain things at this this moment of time, and be rest assured, I will blow the trumpet if time permits us for so many things. Let me take you round. The Boko Haram insurgents, yes, they have ambushed and attacked so many of our military, despite the fact that the federal government under Buhari administration have made a lot of inputs into purchase of hardware and other armament. But yet, why has there been so many ambushed and so many attacks and so many killings of many of the military? Looking at the report, the audit report of the number of arms that have been seized from the police to wrong hands, that is a 2019 report, which we don't have the 2020 and the 2021. It will shock you. So if we look at the situation of Northeast, yes, of course, there is some level of progress. But President Muhammadu Buhari should remember that at a time when he came into power, there is no much issues in the Northwest and North Central. So does that mean that he has been sleeping for the last 6 to 7 years? Or the fighting security under corruption or fighting corruption under security? Because we find it very, very difficult when we had a statement credited to the NSA saying that huge amount of money have been given to either the military, to all the security operatives, the agencies that he's supposed to be the overseer and the monitor, and the manager who is supposed to be reporting to the president on how much was imputed and if those hardwares have been purchased. After 5 to 6 years, between 5 to 6 years, we had the National Security Advisor in a statement credited to him through the BBC Hausa. He made mention very clear that huge amount of money have been budgeted and have been given for the purchase of arms and ammunitions. But I don't know, I want everybody to understand, in bold, in caps, and in quote, I don't know where this money, how this money was spent. I don't know where the arms are, and I did not see anything. And yet, few weeks after, we had the Minister of Finance, through her permanent secretary, in defense and in response to the allegation made by some of the security agencies that they have not been given money to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yet, the permanent secretary, Federal Minister of Finance, disputed the allegation and presented a figure, almost 2 trillion was given in less than 8 months. And at the same time, we have heard so many times when the Lai Mohammed was saying that they know the finances and sponsors of the Boko Haram and banditry among other criminal activities. And yet, you cannot fish them out, you cannot deal with them. And as President Muhammadu Buhari made mention in his interview yesterday, that it is the same culture, the same people, and the same group, the same ethnicity, the same religion in northwestern Nigeria killing themselves. I, Dr. Yahuza Getso, have been mentioning in the last, since Buhari emerged as the president, and since this activity of bandits and kidnappers that have been happening in the northwestern part of the country, I have made it very clear that if government and security agencies don't know where these criminals are, I know where they are and I know their locations. Okay. And I challenge each member of the state assembly. I challenge each of the governors of the northwestern state and north central state. I challenge all the traditional leaders. I challenge all the religious leaders and philanthropists, as well as youth and other civil society activists and groups that are from northwestern Nigeria and north central Nigeria, for anybody, any wordhead, to come and tell me that he don't know where these bandits are. I said, I know. I am from northern Nigeria. Okay. I'm from Kano State. I'm from Gwarzo local government. And I have been to all political wards and all the communities and all the settlements in 19 northern states. There is no nooks or cranny or difficult terrain that I don't know in West Africa. So because that's my expertise. Which makes the it is very clear that I know and we know, when I say we, including President Muhammadu Buhari himself, because he is from the north. So we know who are these criminals, we know their foreparents, and we know they are their ancestors. And they have been indigenous of this region in the last 600 years. So how can you tell me that you have not been able to deal with them for 6 years? Are you sleeping?
Which seems to validate what the president said about, for governors and people in authority to go back to traditional rulers for local intelligence to deal with this issue of insecurity. Does that validate that?
At this moment in time, does that mean that you have been sleeping in your room that you don't even know who to give instruction until now, after thousands and hundreds and thousands have been killed, after a huge amount of resources have been burnt, after many women have been raped, after many children have been assassinated and killed, slaughtered, after many old age have been shot by bandits and criminals who are living within us.
So
it means that the Inspector General of Police that you appointed, the present Inspector of Police and three other inspectors of police that we have had before, or rather two, and the Chief of Army Staffs that we have had, the Atahiru that died, the Borete and others, the Chief of Air Staff, among others. Does that mean that you have not been given them the instructions? We have in records. There were so many instructions given to go and deal, to go and do, to go, and you have imputed huge amount of resources. We are not disputing that.
But haven't we had a form of relief, from Boko Haram for quite a moment?
Well, it was a message when last the president went to Maiduguri. Yes, of course. Like I made mention that we commend the effort of our of the President Muhammadu Buhari in terms of, to some extent, managing the situation in the eastern part of the country. But his performance, if we are praising him for North Central and Northwest, is very, very, very poor. In fact, to some extent that we can say that he has not gone up to 5 degrees in terms of making it a portion of 100%. If we are looking at 100% degree, he have not performed up to 5% of that apportion of 100 when you want to apportionate it in terms of degree of speed of how he supposed to manage the security situation in North Central and Northwestern part of the country. Let me tell you, when Buhari administration started, the attack in Niger State, for example, in North Central, let me take just one state in each of the two regions, that is the North Central and the Northwest. It started from only one local government. And it started from only one political ward. And it started from only 1 or 3 communities. Alawa, Erana, Galadima. So around that cycle, you can easily manage it where you can easily use the front end, the first respondent. The first respondent to internal security should be the Nigerian police. But President Muhammadu Buhari went into his slumber, and he keeps slumbering until when it escalated up to 12 local governments.
Okay, now...
not only 12 local governments. Okay. I want to tell you that there is nowhere that is safe in northwestern Nigeria, in north central Nigeria. Okay, no, I'm coming. Let me take you to Northwest. Let me take you to Northwest. Moving to Northwest, at a time when this activity of bandits started, I have had only 27 communities where we cited and we made a clear presentation before the federal government and the security agencies that in these 27 to 28 communities, there are bandits, there are kidnappers, or they are using it as a hideout. So they can be dealt, they would have been dealt with at that time. They wouldn't have had opportunity to have corroboration and collaboration and partnership with foreigners who are mostly the importers of the arms.
All right, now
to some extent for it to escalate to up to 30 local government in Katsina State.
Taking from what a lot of security experts have saying, a lot of people have said that look, because of the number of the police officers that we have in the country, largely insufficient, to actually man the places that we need them to. These bandits have been able to penetrate the places that they did because of ungoverned spaces, in many instances.
That is not ungoverned space.
And the president said that no state policing or any such arrangement that will be, that will provide the solution that we need and all of that. What's your thinking around that?
Well, I condemn in totality. I support Mr. President in that regard, that state police will even push us to the worst, from frying pan to fire.
Why is that?
Simply because we have seen how the self-centered, selfish governors that we have had over the time have been using even the federal police at a time when there is election, at a time when they want to manage situation, at a time when they want to relate with opposition group. So we have seen how police unprofessionally have been exhibiting themselves and presenting themselves as a thugs or errands to the politicians, especially to the governors.
So
we have records of what happens during the inconclusive election.
You do not think that there is need to decentralize the police in any way?
Yes, of course. What we need.
How do we bridge the gap?
What we need is to find a way of reorienting the psychology of a common police rank and file to the Inspector General of Police, because from rank and file to the Inspector General of Police, they are all involved in all the allegations.
So we have enough policemen. That's
no,
what you're
not
saying.
at all. Not at all. Yes, of course.
It's just a problem of orientation. That's
yes,
what
of course.
saying.
No, I have started listing. I didn't say that's the only. I've started listing. One, we must change their psychology in terms of orientation. We must change the vocabulary and curriculum we are using in building the capacity and training and orienting the Nigerian police force.
Well, is that really the problem?
And at the same time, we need to recruit because we don't have adequate. We don't have adequate manpower. I have been making a carrying of clarion call and an advocacy to President Muhammadu Buhari government and any other government that if we could engage, because the way they do the recruitment process for the leadership, that is the way we're supposed to manage the security situation also. So if you are using the polling unit, the political ward, and the local government, as well as the constituencies, so then we expect that at least 40 per polling unit used between the age of 17 and 22 should be engaged.
How?
Okay.
At least if you have 40 per polling unit
engage how?
in a political ward, to be engaged, to serve, to employ, to recruit them into the security architecture.
As
so that
police officers?
Not only police officers, because we don't have enough military army, we don't have enough air force, we don't have enough navy, we don't have enough DSS. So if you have 40 from each political polling unit, in a political ward that you have 10 polling units, you are going to have 400. In a local government that you have 10 political wards, you are going to have 4,000. So if you can randomly select 500 out of 774 local governments that we have, and engage them, recruit them, provide them with necessary required basic trainings, and distribute them among the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Police, civil defense, immigration, custom, and other law enforcement agents, and also squarely build the capacity of some of the community agents, the non-formal structures, forest marshal, the other hunters, to build their skills, because we have many intelligence among them that are even better than some of the sitting generals, some of the sitting colonels, some of the sitting coward police commissioners and DIGs that we have that today, cannot even travel between Kaduna and Abuja that we always fly on.
Okay. So today is World Day, of war orphans. And then, locally here, we've seen, I'm still going to put this question to you. We've seen how, the Boko Haram insurgency ravaged, the northeast and left hundreds, millions, of orphans of war. Would you say Nigeria has really done enough, to help these orphans so far?
Well, with deep sorrow and sadness and concern, I want to use this medium to condole Nigerians for the death of late Bashir Usman Tofa. Because the issue of orphan and less privilege, or the issue of orphan specifically, as it is the day of orphan, I want to tell you that we shouldn't have allowed it to be the government responsibility alone. Of course, government is supposed to have served as a coordinating to serve as a coordinating agency or as a coordinating team to lead the process. But I want to tell you, if you allow, in situation where we find ourselves in northeastern part of the country, looking at the number of IDPs that we have, that I thought that have been closed as a notice was given by His Excellency the Governor of Borno State, Umar Adam Zulum. If at all he closed them, what I expected the community, because I know so many philanthropists, so many business tycoons, so many individuals, farmers that are cultivating in producing in thousands of sacks and so on and so forth. So northeastern part of the country is not a poor environment. Only that the people, my relatives from northeastern part of the country, because my grandfather came, who born the grandfather of my mother came from Borno State. So I have to, they are my relatives, and I cannot dissociate myself from them. I have been to all part of Borno State, the old Borno State and the old Gongola State. So if at all we will be fair, government shouldn't be the only solely responsible for managing the issues of orphan. Looking at the culture of the northeastern part of the country, the history of the northeastern part of the country, the ethnicity, and the general background of what Nigeria constitutes for who are the people of northeastern part of the country, especially Borno. So I am using this medium to call on all and sundry to please those among our philanthropists, the people that have money in banks, useless resources that they have been saving in banks and wasting in many other parts of the world that we know. Because I want to tell you that I have conducted analysis of the number of people per local government. And I know there is no local government and no political ward in Borno State, in the present Borno State, and the old Borno State that comprises Yobe and Borno. There is no political ward that do not have one indigene either living there or living in Nigeria, other part of Nigeria, or living outside Nigeria that cannot be able to take at least 30% responsibility of those orphans.
We have quite a number of them.
So why can't we collaborate? We need to commend the governor for his efforts. But how do we compliment him? Because government alone cannot manage those issues. Let's be optimistic and let's be realistic. And other philanthropists, like I know Dangote have been making a lot of effort in that regard, but I want to tell the whole world that I have been to all IDPs in northeastern part of the country, Borno especially, and Yobe. And having gone there in the year 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, and part of 2020, I also visited some. I believe sincerely that if we can be honest, we can be able to build their skills, because we cannot take the continued responsibility. They need to be guided to acquire a certain skills, tailoring, carpentry, other mechanical engineering of repairing machine and the cars and so on and so forth. There are a lot of resources that can be tapped. You don't even need to borrow from Bauchi State or from Adamawa State or so. No, within the Borno and Yobe itself, there are a lot of untapped resources that can be tapped and utilized to build the capacity of these orphans so that we stop living on a bombshell. Because the way they were left uncared, the way they were left unmanaged, and the way the camps I visited, I told you that I have visited no IDP camp in northeastern Nigeria that I have not visited.
Okay. Now,
so if we are really serious, the traditional institutions, the huge amount of money you are wasting for other traditional engagement, convert part of that money. I'm not saying that we should stop promoting our culture, but let's be realistic and look at the dangers these guys are posing on us, or we are posing on ourselves. And we are not promoting a culture because we are introducing something very new. we don't have culture whereby if there is any open will be left behind in northern Nigeria.
Okay.
So we need to be careful.
Okay, now let's talk about education. We all know, how the insurgency brought about the disruption of learning in that part of the country. So how would you say we are faring so far in getting some of these children, back in school and educated as well?
Well, generally, the insurgency as well as the banditry and kidnapping issues around have affected the educational institutions or the educational development in entire northern Nigeria. And which, if we are really organized, if we can start today and speed up, probably in the next 100 years we can be able to fix some of the troubles that have been caused by the activities of the Boko Haram and others. Yes, of course, like I made mention, northeastern part of the country, we have so many scholars. We have so many professors. We have so many holders of doctorate degree and so many unemployed youths, graduates from thousands of universities. I know many of them even in Abuja who are either riding motorcycle or even some of them. I know a graduate from northeastern part of the country who is selling pure water and selling water on the street of Abuja. So if at all we can mobilize the government of Borno State and the federal government as well as the institutions, formal and non-formal institutions, that is the universal basic education, the state primary education, and the local government education authorities, as well as the other stakeholders, need to sit down to develop a strategic action plan for how to kind of face the challenges we have had as a result of Boko Haram activities and other criminal activities, ISWAP and so on and so forth, in the last 10 years or thereby. So if we could do that, I'm very optimistic that we can fix some of them. They have destroyed so many schools, so we cannot say that we must have the infrastructures before the we revive or we fix the issues. People of Borno have been learning under tree. I could remember that in 1984, 1985, and 86, I even went to Borno myself for acquiring the Quranic education, and I know that part of the times I have been spending during the vacation, the Western education, during vacation, I used to take my allo and go there, spend 3 weeks and come back, and I know that we have been learning under the tree or under the shades, or sometimes under. So I think some of those cultures need to be imbibed and need to be utilized in determining and building and saving the future of this vulnerable youth. Otherwise, there will be a violent and at a time when they will explode the bomb, everybody in Nigeria, not only in northeastern part of the country, will really suffer.
Now, aside education, of course, after educating people, you have to look for a way of engaging them productively. We are talking about high rate of unemployment in the country. And yesterday, the president in his interview, referred to the fact that only about 2.5% of Nigeria's arable land, is being cultivated. So for you to put to use these human resources, you need education, but aside education, you have to find a way to engage them. And to do that, you need investment, in those areas. How do we attract investment to some of these crisis-prone areas?
Let me tell you, the best way to attract investment is to fight corruption. That is why I blame, and up till tomorrow, I still accuse President Muhammadu Buhari of his inability to manage corruption issues in Nigeria.
This is your opinion.
Yes, of course, my opinion was
You say his inability. The president always make reference to the judicial system. I mean, for him to be able to fight corruption, he is not he's not a judge, jury, and executioner.
Let me tell you
in a democratic dispensation.
Let me tell you
this.
One thing.
He needs other systems,
let me tell you
to fight corruption.
For you
so
to
he has always complained about
for you
this
to have a
weakness
productive youth in northern Nigeria and in southwestern Nigeria and south and southeast. Each of these regions have peculiarities of what you need to do to fix and reduce the number and level of unemployment. You don't even need government. What government need to do is to provide enablers, to have enabling environment for people to operate. Let me tell you, if you take the entire northwestern part of the country, there are less than 30 local governments that I'm very optimistic that if they could be well utilized, they can feed Nigeria for 7 years in a one season of farming. Buhari administration, I commend him for a number of policies that he brought in terms of investment that you have made mentioned, because he invested huge amount of money and other resources in terms of making the productive policies that have not been useful, like universal microfinance and so many other agro-allied related policies, and imputed huge amount of money through the central bank and other institutions in collaboration with so many UN agencies, USAID, CEDA, DFID, among others, which I know. And I have so many evidences. And of course, it used to shock me and used to feel crying, because I know practically how much policies have been made and how much resources have been imputed
but how
in
much
implementing.
results have we gotten?
That is the question. That's why I'm going. That's why I'm going.
Some of these farmers cannot even go to the farm. Sometimes even when they, when they plant, they can't go back to.
It is not even. Cultivate. Forget about even the security context. Let me tell you, if at all the 50% of the cultivatable land that have no security challenges have been cultivated in one annual season, it was a rainy season and irrigation, I want to tell you that Nigeria, we can sustain ourselves in terms of agricultural productivity, in terms of food, and even import outside, export, I mean, for 7 years. But the problem is, government made the declaration that fertilizer is going to be sold at the rate of 5,000 naira. That year, 2015 and 2016, because I am a farmer, it's part of what I do for a living, and I want to tell you that I bought fertilizer during that year at the rate of 13,000 up to 17,000 to some extent. Yet, we have law enforcement agents, the same fertilizer that have been bought by government and put not for sale. You go to the markets at Mayadua, at Charanchi, at Kwantagora, at Lafia, at Kefi, at all parts of the country, you still see it on sale. Despite the fact that you have the police, divisional police officers, you have the local security officers, that is the representative of the DSS, you have the civil defense, you have all mechanisms to ensure that you enforce that law so that people have access to manure, to fertilizer and other agricultural inputs, so that the production will rise. And once you have the rise in production, you will have the rise in reducing the cases of unemployment.
So our problem here
huge amount of all this money, microfinance, whatever, NIRSAL, go back to the same members of the National Assembly and their allies, go back to the same members of the Senate and their allies. Most of the money given have been paid to their in-laws, their relatives, their errands, rather than that's what's supposed to go to the common man. So I commend Buhari in that regard. He made a lot of policies, but there is no monitoring and there is no supervision and there is no tracking mechanism that have been utilized to checkmate those economic inputs and for them to provide results. So that is why, in that regard also, Buhari is an absolute failure.
So our problem here is implementation from everything you've just said here.
And the corruption. Yeah, I put all together in the, because like I mentioned, if you have the fertilizer being announced by the government that it is supposed to be sold at 5,000 naira, if you go to these government stores, at the local government, at the state, wherever you go, you can't find it. But you go to market, it is there available. You have all the police moving around. They move with their vehicles. they go and collect stipend from commuters at the side of the market. But still, this fertilizer in the market is being sold at the rate of 13,000 naira, 12,000 naira, 17,000 naira.
Blame it on the marketer. The marketer probably bought it from somewhere as well.
So that's somewhere. That's somewhere. That is where corruption comes around.
Well, this is quite
That's somewhere. That is where the president is supposed to have a tracking and monitoring mechanism.
I think we're going to continue this another day. It's been quite an interesting conversation with you, Dr. Yahya.
Thank you. Well, we've been speaking with Dr. Yahuza, and he's been giving us quite very interesting thoughts. But we must tell you that opinions expressed by our guests are entirely theirs and not of Trust TV. That's also very important. Now, from that, we now wrap up the show. It's been quite interesting. Connect with us on our social media handles and also follow the discussions on our YouTube. This is being streamed live every morning. You can also watch from YouTube and also follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, as a matter of fact, so that you can get other updates there.
Well, before we go, I'd like to say this. I'm calling on philanthropists, civil society organization, individuals, that we should join hands, help an orphan in need. If you can, 1 or 2 or 3, this will help make a difference. I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you for staying tuned.
I am Ayubelia. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.